Hello, welcome back. Today we have another piece of EpicSeven content that's finally been released or re-released, and with it comes Advent, which as you can see looks kind of similar. It might be familiar, and if you're not familiar with it, well, time to get into it. Okay, so the first thing that we have is Hell mode. In phase 1, the boss keeps going into stealth, so you want all AoE characters in order to knock them out. In this case, I use Vivian because she gives immunity, attack buff, and she also adds to the AoE damage and does pretty good damage herself with skill 1 when it comes to scaling health and stuff like that. So in my opinion, I think Vivian's probably a staple. Everyone has Vivian from the hunt thing, so you should be using Vivian here. But then the thing that's kind of up to debate on who you want to pick and how you want to play it are the two AoE DPS that kind of make this fight go faster or slower depending on who you choose. So right here, I have Vildred and I have Bellion. I know Bellion's an ML5, so if you want to replace her with another AoE DPS, that could work. However, the sky's the limit, and honestly, the thing that really is important about this section is just being able to do AoE and being able to clear the 3 additional mobs that spawn so that you can inevitably hit Alicia of the Ice and get to phase 2. There's not too much going on in phase 1. Just make sure that you can kind of burst the boss down. Maybe you want someone that has more AoE like SSB, Landy, etc. Do what you like, but in Hell mode specifically, just make sure you have enough AoE so that you can nuke the boss. Okay, so for phase 2, I'll be completely honest with you. Last year, and I think the year before that, or basically all I did was I put Camilla, who has a chance to defense break and also has a dual attack, alongside a Diane who takes the first turn and a Sid who does a load of damage, and the phase kind of cleared itself. So if you're curious about how the phase works, Diane uses her S3 to start off the fight, Alicia debuffs you, Diane cleanses with her skill 2, and then Camilla and Sid start to def break, dual attack, S1, do a bunch of damage. Sid can def break on his S1. I have Camilla and Sid's skills turned off, and I'll show you this in a run that we do later, but that's the general gist of how the team works. The purpose of this team is just to nuke the boss as fast as possible. There isn't much regard for any mechanics, especially because this is Hell, and this will obviously change when we get into Epic Hell. However, for this, it's kind of just a speed nuke down from phase 2, so that's all you really got to worry about. It does like a little bit of damage, so if you want to replace Diane with, I don't know, another healer or an AoEer, or maybe use someone that does a little bit less damage but is tankier, you can probably do that as well. This time around, Advent is much more forgiving compared to, I feel like. So with that being the case, as you can see here, this is a very speedy nuke team that has like a maybe not the greatest defense break chance, and if you want to use someone else, you can. But I found this to work. I cleared Epic Hell, which I'll explain later, with the same team. So this is fine. Perfect. Great. That's phase 2. For phase 3, all you really need to do is have a CR pusher for your nuker. In this case, I use Sigrid because everyone has Sigrid. Most people have Amelia, but if you don't have Amelia, it might be a bit tougher. You might want to use someone like Inos or a cleanser. However, the Furious here is pretty important. You need to have a defense breaker that lands a def break for 2 turns. So what I had was my Furious go ahead of my Amelia, take the turn S2 def break, and then Amelia will push up Sigrid and then one shot or clean up the rest of the fight between all the random other stuff that happens. That's kind of the gist of what happens between the two of them. It seemed kind of fine. Nothing was super off. I didn't get really speed RNG. There was no real RNG to this. So long story short, for phase 3, just have someone push up the Sigrid. Sigrid gets to use her skill 3 or S2, clean up all the rest of the damage. Amelia is kind of protective enough that you won't get one shot here. It's pretty difficult to lose in phase 3 if you have this specific lineup. One shot the boss, GG. Okay, so as you can see, I have mine on auto. I don't think most people are going to be honestly farming this as much because it's not like Hunt or something is going to be less. Okay, so honestly, I think most people are just going to clear this for the rewards or the reputation and then kind of dip. Rift is obviously pretty important. Most people that I know aren't even Rift level 21. I think they're like bouncing between 15 and 16. You could leave a comment in the comment section where you are for Rift as well. But as you can see here, no one's really in danger of, you know, getting one shot. There's no RNG here. You're just doing AoE, and honestly, okay, I guess there's RNG of dual attacking, but as you can tell, the phase 1, this is Hell mode, right? This is what most people are going to be farming for like the majority of the rewards. And so as you can see here, or maybe I'll move myself over here for the side for a second. Skills are off for my Sid and my Camilla. There could have been a debuff here. I don't land the defense break on the first time with Camilla, which is unfortunate, but it doesn't really matter too much. No one's in danger of getting one shot. We have anti-crit just in case. But between Camilla taking the turn and the Sid's taking the turn, This is very clean, simple. We landed defense break, but even without defense break, it doesn't matter. Furious takes a turn on phase 3. He defense breaks, and I have Song of Stars on, but you don't really need it. Amelia pushes up the Sigrid. Sigrid does her skill 3 into a very low Alicia the Ice. And if you're really annoyed by the fact that she's at 1 HP, you could probably run, I don't know, Water Gun or something on your Amelia. My Amelia just has Shamadra Staff. So there you go. That's a clean run. Not much thought to it. That's the clear. Okay, sounds good. So let's get into stats. Okay, so when it comes to stats, my Vildred is what you would imagine for a PvP Vildred, or maybe a little bit more whaley, but I don't have Daydream Joker on. You don't need to be this fast. He's just on Torrent. You could even run crit. Doesn't really matter too much. Make sure he's not dirt slow, because you do want to be able to take more turns, but I run this on all my health stuff, and you can obviously I'll show you how it runs in Epic Hell, but even with this, like in a little bit less HP, this is normally fine. Even if he ends up getting one shot, Vivian and Bellion end up cleaning up the team anyways, and you kind of want the team to go slower just so you could strip the attack buff. A new change that's happening to the Epic Hell that I haven't mentioned yet, and I'll give you a bit of a preview, but you only need to clear it 3 times, so I'll explain more of that later, but here's the Vildred. Let's move on to the Bellion. Okay, so as you can see, we have the Bellion here, and I'm not even on Elbrus on mine. I have got effect resistance for no reason. I'm base speed with Bellion, and I have 26k HP, 1200 defense. You could probably get away with something better or worse. Again, I know a lot of people are using Bellion for like PvP or something like that. Mine is on like a cheese build for arena, and I guess it works. I don't really have too much issue with it, but obviously I have a lot of wasted stat in terms of like potential. I have 130 effect resistance. You could probably put that into defense, HP, crit damage, speed, whatever you want. You could also have Elbrus on. Mine is just like this again because I have arena, but I was able to clear Hell or Epic Hell with it. I was able to clear normal Hell with it. So that's not that big a deal. Crown of Glory is kind of nice, I guess, if you want some mitigation, but if you wanted that, you could probably have, I don't know, Proof or some other Rise of the Monarch, any of the other artifacts. Artifacts should probably be Elbrus if you're honestly trying to get more damage, or you could go Mature Sunglasses. She's not going to get one shot anyways. That's Bellion. Okay, now my Vivian here is, I guess, a bit on the like more unusual side. She's quite fast. She's got decent HP. She's got decent attack, got decent crit damage. She has Daydream Joker on. In all honesty, you could probably still be pretty slow as well. You ideally want her to go ahead of Vildred, which shouldn't be too difficult. But between having the immunity and the attack buff, I also changed my EE to be the one that dispels a debuff from all allies. I don't really know how much this actually matters. It helped on occasion, but Vivian and Bellion are pretty difficult to one-shot in specifically Hell mode, so this doesn't matter too much. It may matter more in Epic Hell, but in all honesty, like I mentioned before, if you are using Bellion, she's probably not going to get one shot anyways. If you're trying to use a different DPS than Bellion, because Bellion sometimes can end up soloing, you could definitely make your Vivian tankier. However, just remember that you do want to try and one-shot the minions as quick as possible. So though you may be able to run some bulk on Vivian, make sure not to skimp out too much, but that's Vivian. Okay, so for DN, what I decided to use was Doctor's Bag, which doesn't really matter. This is just from me doing some other miscellaneous PvE stuff. But the only thing that I figured that was kind of important when it came to DN was being faster than all the other characters, which is kind of a trait of a lot of characters here. The Vivian, the Amelia, and the DN, they all just want to be faster than the other characters so that you can apply, so that you can apply attack buff, cleanse, etc. As you can see here, I have 225 speed, but I have 200 effect resistance. I have Doctor's Bag. I just want to be able to apply attack buff for the rest of my units here. Cleanse on occasion, but it doesn't matter too much. Bulk-wise, I don't think she was really ever close to dying anyways, so it is what it is. Okay, but if we move along, we have Camilla, and as you can see here, I forgot to gear the character. This is literally the one that I used for Hell, Epic Hell, and everything in between. I'm gonna go re-gear it really quick. That's a little bit embarrassing, but this should kind of tell you just how insanely easy the content is. I'm just gonna put POS on. I'm gonna give her an effectiveness ring, and then yeah, wow, we'll be totally fine, surely. Okay, bada bing, bada boom. So as you can see here, we have Camilla, who was just fixed. Her stats don't really matter too much. Don't get one shot. You can make her tankier. I have her on an effectiveness ring, but I don't even have like a proper set. This will work for her. If you want her to do a little more damage, that obviously works as well. But I didn't find Camilla's stats to be that important. She's just a glorified defense break. That's all she's ever really been, unfortunately. But that's Camilla. And finally, the star of the show. As you can see here, we do have the Sid. Sid could obviously be base speed. Sid could be much slower than this. I just have him like this because it's the easiest way to change without re-gearing everything. I had him at like 250 speed, and trying to re-gear my Sid for 3 clears of hell or something like that is not really worth it in my opinion. So what I have here on my Sid is a 4K 300 220 speed one. You definitely don't need this exact stat line. As I mentioned, you could definitely be slower. But as you can see, Sid here is doing pretty good damage. He's got pen set. He has Wind Rider. You could definitely go on Daydream Joker if you want as well. The EE that I have on is the advantageous one. However, I don't use my EE. So if you want, you could probably go for something like the decreased speed or whatever. It doesn't really matter too much. Those ones aren't as relevant. He does give himself effectiveness buff on occasion. So if he is able to defense break, great, that's terrific, because you know what, sometimes he does it himself. But don't be too bummed out if he isn't able to do it. However, that's the stats for phase 2. Let's move on to phase 3. Okay, so in all honesty, this is kind of like the embarrassing alert. My cigarette kind of looks awful. As you can see here, my cigarette has got 65 effectiveness, which I don't really even need. I've got almost 11k HP, 1100 defense, 4.3k, 300. I am on Rage Pen, so that if you aren't able to get that, I understand. However, you don't necessarily need Rage in order to do enough damage. For Hell especially, you could even get away with probably using someone like Luna or something in between. However, what I like about Sigrid is that once we use her for Epic Hell, you're going to be able to Soul Burn her and take an extra turn into S3, so that's going to be really big. If you have better stat than me, congratulations. Great, I guess. Like, this is not much of a flex. I'm kind of using my other Rift gear on my Cane. So it is what it is. However, for this character, you just want to have her on Daydream Joker, have as much damage as possible. That's Sigrid. Everyone has her. Cool. Next up on the chopping block, we have Amelia, who, again, I'm kind of struggling to make her even slower without taking off gear from other characters. However, all you really want to do with your Amelia is not get debuffed, and as you can see here, I have Shamadra Staff. If you want to use Water Gun, you can as well. But the point of this build is that you have enough ER that you don't take any debuffs or don't get landed by any debuffs, and then just cleanse and don't get one shot and heal. Not too complicated. The stat line definitely doesn't have to look like this. You could definitely make her squishier. You can make her slower, and so long as Furious takes a turn, you should be in good hands. The tuning of this team is more important than the actual stats of this team, so just keep that in mind. And finally, in what I consider to probably be like the most Frankenstein looking thing I've ever seen, I have a triple set Furious, because this is the only leftover gear I have left. I have 85 effectiveness, I have crit chance imprint, 195 speed, he's got HP, a little bit of you don't need any of this, guys. Just have 85 effectiveness on him. Make sure he goes ahead of Amelia. But you do, I believe, want to keep him. I don't know what the exact number is because I'm only doing Epic Hell 3 times. But you should be, ideally, I believe, below 200 speed. You don't want to take the turn before the boss takes her first turn. You don't want Alicia to take a turn before you've used her defense break. So you want to defense break after she takes her turn. You want to be able to, land or stick the debuff and then push up with Amelia. This is for Hell mode though. This doesn't matter too much. I like Song of Stars just because you have extra damage. That's great. That's perfect. Make sure he doesn't get one shot, and if you want, you can try and have the decreased hit chance thing as well. I don't think it matters too much. We're kind of one-shotting the last phase anyways. Get the attack for extra stat, and cool, perfect. Hello everybody, and if you haven't heard, Huawei App Gallery is providing a special offer for EpicSeven. Every day you can claim up to $13 worth of coupons and then use it when you make in-app purchases. This of course can help you save money, and your total savings add up to about 30%. This plus the price advantage of App Gallery and the addition of coupons means that you could save up to 40 or even 50% of the money you otherwise would have spent while purchasing stuff on the App Store. Another big thing is that this isn't just for Huawei mobile users. You can also benefit if you have an Android, so don't miss out. But if you're curious on how to do it, the first thing you have to do is download App Gallery, and of course you'll need to register an App Gallery account. Next, to make the most out of this offer, select Turkey as the registration country, and then finally download EpicSeven from the App Gallery. Once you redeem the coupon from this game, all you have to do is purchase in game and then choose the coupon that we just mentioned in the purchase page, and you'll get the discount. Anyways, guys, thanks to App Gallery for sponsoring this video. Let's get back into it. Okay, so now that we have Epic Hell, there are a couple things that I need to explain, and to be honest with you, I would explain phase 1, but phase 1 doesn't really change too much. I'm just gonna kind of play it to show you what happens, and we can pause before phase 2. But to kind of give a brief overview, all that's happening here is that in Epic Hell, she's going to still have like the little stealth, as you can see here, but this time she has a defense and attack buff. If you want, you could pause here to read what it says, but the first thing you're trying to strip is the attack buff here. You don't want her taking or doing too much damage to you. However, she doesn't really, in all honesty. All you have to do is just attack Alicia enough times with AoEs so that this gets dispelled. So that means Bellion S1, Bellion S3, Vivian S2, anything in between. Sometimes the Vildred does too much damage and it ends up phasing before you get a chance. However, I found that just between Vivian pressing S2 and Bellion S1ing or Bellion S3ing, extra attacks, I guess, do count. I was gonna say they didn't, but I was just proven wrong. Anyways, as you can see here, it doesn't require much to kind of get to the point that you want to for phase 2. We removed the attack buff just kind of accidentally. Not much to do here. As you can see here, Vivian and Vildred here almost died, but it doesn't really matter because, I mean, Vildred wasn't going to take another turn anyways. Bellion procs, and then hopefully everything gets one shot. Perfect, great. And on this next hit, hopefully we should phase into the next part. Yep. Okay, so that's phase 1. Okay, so if we get into phase 2, as you can see here, we do have the DN proccing S3. Now, you could S3 here if you want with Sid. Personally, I'm going to, just because, I mean, you only have to clear Epic Hell 3 times. We have the little bit of damage that Sid does, and the thing that I like to do here is I like to soul burn, just because, like, you could probably get away with doing it on auto, and I'll try and explain that, but like, honestly, I cleared my first Epic Hell here without even actually doing it manually. But if you want a guaranteed chance for defense break like that, well, perfect. That's also, I believe, a 2-turn def break. My Sid got 1 shot. Okay, so here we are once again. As you can see, we have the exact same position. Nothing changed. Oopsie daisy. Sometimes that happens, but it is what it is. So as you can see here, we're going to use Sid's S3 again. We're going to defense break with Camilla, and hopefully it lands. And this time, we don't get one shot by the Sid. Okay, that's perfect. We get Dien to cleanse, and either you get evasion or he doesn't end up hitting. It doesn't really matter too much. The skill 1 on Sid does a load of damage. And again, like, mine's not in like perfect shape or anything like that. But we do the skill 1. And then again, you can S1 with the Camilla here. And you get straight into phase 3. For Epic Hell, you could probably do this because, again, it doesn't require that much. It's 3 times. 3 is smaller than 5, so that's a great change. If you want to do this on auto, you could probably keep RNGing until it happens. But it takes 15 seconds, guys. Not that big a deal. Okay, but in phase 3, as you can see here, Furious takes a turn first. We're going to use his skill 2 into his skill 3. This one you can't really auto, unfortunately, or you can kinda, but again, why would you do that? It's not that deep. Okay, so hopefully I don't get 15%ed here. We're gonna do the S2 into the S3, and honestly, guys, if you get 15%ed, I'm so sorry. Smilegate, please remove this nonsense from the game. However, as you can see here, we have the defense break, we have the target, and if you don't have the target, it might be a little bit tougher, but we should be able to cleanse here. We get the Soulburn S2. This does an insane amount of damage, in all honesty, and as you can see here, we have 5 debuffs, so even though there's defense buff here, I'm pretty sure it's just 100% pen. Like, you basically get 1 shot here. It's not that big a deal. I missed a little bit of damage, but my secret gear is not that optimized. Again, if you're sweating a bit of the damage, just run, I don't know, water gun. There you go. That's Epic Hell. Okay, perfect. Okay, so just an update from future Connor to past Connor. I didn't realize this, but as I was editing the video and as I was trying to figure everything out, Amelia does need Margahara Tome if you want to be a little bit more consistent in terms of tuning and stuff. I found that if Amelia just uses her S3 into S2, it should be enough. Aside, other note that I do want to make mention of is that although I do have probably one of the weaker cigarettes, I know a lot of you guys don't have rage. A big thing that you're going to be looking for here, though, is to guarantee that you get the target. Again, it is only 3 runs, and the odds of you getting 15% in 3 times in a row is hopefully low. But in case if that was an issue, just make sure to keep, I guess, restarting. It's 3 runs. I apologize. There are other runs where you can maybe actually end up not getting one shot by the boss or something like that, but this is what I just found to be the easiest. As I mentioned before, if you don't have target, maybe you could run something else, but as you can see here, this is the Furious that I just ran. It has plus 30 Song of Stars. It did come to my attention that sometimes you don't have enough damage. However, if you have something like a 5k 300 Sigret, that might also work for you. However, that's just a PSA I wanted to give you guys. Okay, so as you guys saw, Epic Hell is not that hard this time around. Honestly, I'm kind of glad. Maybe some of the PvE players that wanted this to be more difficult are kind of upset because they didn't really change too much. They didn't change anything exceptionally. So in a sense, it is kind of a shame. However, in general, I didn't really want to spend too much time in Advent anyways. I myself am probably just going to get everything out of the exchange, then get the heck out of here. However, for you guys, if you want to farm out, however, for anyone that wants to farm out, you have the Hell team. You guys already saw the Epic Hell stats. You can refer back earlier to the thing. It's not like I changed any stats between Hell and Epic Hell. As some parting thoughts, guys, Advent was basically doable in like an hour, basically. I guess I'm gonna do my Epic Hell after I'm done with this video, but in any case, a lot of the characters that I picked, some of them were like a bit whalier, like maybe you don't have Bellion. However, in general, Amelia, I feel like most people have, but like a healer, any kind of healer would probably work. Diane, I know, is also a bit difficult to kind of get, so if you want, there are definitely alternatives to that, and obviously play with what you have. However, these were the teams that I found to work pretty well. I cleared it in kind of no time at all. Most of my units are either built on PvP or really scuffed. I mean, my god, guys, I basically used an ungeared Camilla that just survived, didn't even have effectiveness. But anyways, guys, make sure to like, comment, turn the notification bell, subscribe. Let me know what you think of this side story or this new Advent. I say new, but it's pretty much reran. If you learned something or if you enjoyed, make sure to let me know as well. I appreciate it. Heart, thank you. Happy late Halloween, by the way. I know I didn't really say that in the last video. But anyways, guys, yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Make sure to check out the rest of my platforms. TikTok, Twitch, Discord, YouTube, Twitter, all that jazz. I'll see you on the next one. Adios.